This is Marketing Jam, a podcast featuring the brightest minds in Canadian marketing.
Hey, welcome to Marketing Jam. I'm Shaheed, and this is Oli Gardner. He's the co-founder of Unbounce, which Unbounce, if you're into marketing and you have a website, you probably know or should know about it. But why don't you tell our audience about what Unbounce is?
Absolutely. Well, it's a conversion platform for marketers. Primary kind of free products in it. You've got landing pages for your marketing campaigns, and then we also launched pop-ups and sticky bars, to put some tools on your website as well. Yeah. So cover both sides.
Right, and this is kind of at the heart of content marketing. Would you agree with that or not?
No, it's more, well, you might be using it for that. I mean, landing pages are just for campaigns, so it might be doing PPC campaigns, or it could be email, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And maybe what you're doing is content.
But it's all about converting.
Ebooks or whatever, it might be what you give away, but yeah, it's more about creating that focused experience.
Yeah, okay. So I read somewhere that you were, and I bring up content marketing because obviously the talk that you did here at CIMC 2018 is about content marketing being broken. And I didn't hear too much of it because I was up here talking to somebody else, but I'd like to hear what you mean by that. And because I read that you're one of the first guys into the content marketing game. I don't know if you agree with that, but why is it broken?
My talk actually changed at the last minute.
Did? Okay.
To data-driven design, but we can talk about both though, because that content marketing talk is my next talk I'm working on.
Okay.
But I think content marketing is broken because we start from the wrong place. It's, oh, we need an ebook, or we should do a webinar. It's not done for the right reason. So the approach I want to take now is taking the content. Like, say you have a microsite for a landing page course. We have a landing page course. Instead of just creating content for the sake of we need this content, I just step back and think of it from because content marketing is great for, well, I did a massive experiment at the start of this year to try and put our product in our content more, because historically we've never talked about our product. It was very soft sell, which is very common in content marketing, right? You're describing how to solve the problem rather than pushing your product. But I wanted to see if I could fuse the product in there more. So I ran a 30-day experiment where my goal was to write 30 blog posts in 30 days in January. I managed 20, but it was like 37,000 words. It was a massive experiment, and very eye-opening, because digging into the data, our content converts to people who sign up for Unbounce at 0.3%. I was like, well, that's terrible. Why is that? And so I reached out to some other people, same thing, or worse, because, and Andy Crestodina from Orbit Media, he describes it best. Like, having this content raises your profile in the search engines, so that the content on your website for actually selling to people, that becomes more visible because of the links and the interest you get from the content. The content itself doesn't convert.
Right.
It helps support people being able to find your core business. So knowing that it's likely to convert very low, it's okay when you realize what its true purpose is. But I still want to try and find a way of, getting the product in there more. So my new concept around that is I'm building, it's called like a marketing optimization map. And it's really about designing choose your own adventure type navigational experiences inside your content. By that I mean having interactive pieces of content that allow people to self-select, self-identify who they are. You can then customize the experience based on those interactions. So it's a big kind of technical framework tied into Google Tag Manager. It's very, there's a lot of code involved, but what I'm trying to do is figure out what is the behavior that happens for people who convert. So instead of just looking at, let's say, oh, they went to this page and that page and that page, it's more, what are all the nuanced little micro bits of behavior that happen that lead people to become a customer. So I want to understand behavior in a different way. So it's a more technical approach to content marketing.
So, this brings to my mind Amazon Echo and how things are so tailored, and Amazon specifically, but how things are so tailored to people these days that they want an experience that kind of mimics these other experiences that are tailored. Is that sort of with the marketing optimization, is that sort of what you're talking about?
Yeah, a little bit. And the goal actually as well is to create these content elements based, like starting with, instead of we need this, is starting with the aha moments your customers have. So talk to your sales and customer support teams, and usually sales, and you ask them, when you're describing the product, when you're selling it to our customers, what are the triggers that make people go, oh, I get it? And what are those? Then you can take those and you can design content that accelerates people's path to that.
Okay.
And so that might be, like, for example, you can have a page, let's say, about what is a landing page. And you might have a bit of content with kind of tabbed navigation that says, for example, what's your role? And you have designer, developer, writer, marketer. You're going to click the one that's you. And now I've learned something about you. I can cookie that, and I can, somewhere else on the site, I can change the experience knowing that's who you are.
Yes.
And also, the video, for example, I show you when you do that, it can be the same thing for each different person. Like it's showing inside Unbounce, for example. This is what the builder looks like, this is how you use it, but you would change how you speak to them. If it's a developer, you talk about, oh, and it's easy to set up, you take the script and you put it in GTM and you do this. For the manager, you talk about optimizing workflow and how it's going to make, efficiencies. When if it's a designer, like, oh, look, you can cut and paste between these pages like that. When you've identified what those aha moments, so those are accelerants, personalized accelerants to get people to the aha moment more quickly than they normally would. And let's say you identify as, because we released a benchmark report, so different industries, how they convert. So you could use that as the carrot to say, like, oh, you want to get this? It's really cool. Tell us which industry you're in out of these. When you do that, they get the content, but now you know what industry they're in.
Right.
So again, if I'm showing them a video demoing how to use Unbounce, I'm going to make 10 of those videos, and I'm going to use a different template. I'm going to do the exact same stuff, but I'll have a travel template or higher education for the person who identified themselves as that. So they're going to see the experience is good for them, but it's going to have a template that resonates with them in there. So again, that's an accelerant to get them to the aha moment faster, because it looks like it's done just for them. So it's all about allowing people to self-select and self-identify.
I mean, in this industry, optimization is often a buzzword, but I mean, that sounds like optimization to a T, and sort of when data is at the forefront of what we're doing. I mean, it seems like a perfect way of using it to a business's advantage.
Yeah, and I'm in kind of hardcore R&D mode for this at this moment, but I'm really excited to see where it can take things.
Yeah. So speaking of video, landing page sessions, I love those. Those are pretty cool. How much importance do you put on video these days, on landing pages and in general? Is it as important and as necessary as we make it these days?
It's like, it's the year of mobile.
Yeah.
It's the year of video.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, video is a massive part of all the content that we see. So it is necessary, but it's also how do you use it, right? That's the bit that we all know we should, but how to use it is the more complicated part. So some of those things I was talking about, how using it to personalize the experience better. It's more work if you have to make 10 the same video, but it's going to allow you to do things in a different way.
Yeah, either make one that doesn't work or 10 that do.
Right,
So.
yeah. And, I was talking in my talk about when we made an explainer video for Unbounce.com way back. And we thought it was going to convert like crazy and really make it better, but nobody cared. Because all it did was explain what was already a simple concept. And so it actually lost in the test.
There's no aha there.
No, it's just like, yeah, get on with it. You tell me stuff I already know from your headline.
Yeah.
So that's an example of doing it wrong. Now I forgot to mention this on stage, I'm not dissing explainer videos. They can be great, unless you do it for the wrong reason. We did it because everyone else was doing it. Yeah. It was trendy. We didn't do it because we'd had an insight that, oh, they need to know this. We just wrote a script, filmed this thing, and it was terrible. So you have to be doing it for the right reason. Don't just do video because you got to do video. uncover a problem that needs to be solved through that medium.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about you as a public speaker. I mean, Unbounce is one thing you do, but you do, how much public speaking do you do in a year? Probably a lot.
Like 20, 25
okay.
gigs, yeah.
And you know, you're highly reviewed, highly renowned. What makes a good public speaker, and what makes a good presentation in your mind?
I think it starts with, it's one of our, we have 6 core values at Unbounce. We have an unofficial 7th one, which is GAS, which stands for giving a shit. You know?
Okay.
And it kind of supports all the rest. And I think you have to begin with that, because if you don't care about the experience your audience is going to get, you're not going to be good at it. You know, I'm pretty obsessive, so when I started speaking, I just read tons of books, watched TED Talks every day to just try and, you know, see what was good, and I obsess over the design of my slides. So I think it's everything. You gotta have great slides. You just gotta want to do it, really.
Yeah.
Just getting on stage and just talking, that's not good enough. You know, I always try and educate, entertain, and inspire. If I do those 3 things, I'm doing it right. If something's missing, you know, when I design my talks, I do it on a giant whiteboard and map out the flow, but then I plant aha moment, funny moment, tweetable moment, or whatever. So, and when you stand back and look at it, you go, oh, there's 10 minutes there where there's nothing funny. So you design a moment that is going to be funny there, because 2 reasons. One, it's more enjoyable. Most conferences are boring as hell. So the more humor we can put in there, the better it is for everyone. But also for me, if I'm not making people laugh, they may be loving the content, but I feel less confident about what's happening. But when I get that feedback, it just gives you more energy.
Yeah,
so
engagement, key, right?
Yeah.
What's your aha moment? Maybe with relation to Unbounce and why you started it, and sort of the pivot moment in your life, which has kind of led to where you are today.
Yeah, it's we have 6 co-founders. Rick, our CEO, this is way back in 2009.
Yeah.
He had 2 ideas. He brought a few of us together. We talked about them. One idea was terrible. I don't remember that much about it. Landing pages was the other, because we'd all worked together in different companies, different startups or big companies, and in marketing departments or with marketing departments, and it was a constant pain getting landing pages for marketing campaigns, because you had to rely on a developer or the IT department. So, you know, our CTO, Carl, you know, like Rick was managing the creative team, which I was on, and Carl's the CTO, and he'd be like, hey, we need these things built. And it's like, well, I've got 2 quarters of product lined up, you know, I don't want to spend time building your marketing landing pages. So the need was there, but it's from both sides. So allowing marketers to take control of their own work and build landing pages using a tool frees them up, empowers them to do their work faster, better, and it frees up tech to do what they should be doing, building the product, doing that so everybody gets happier. So, you know, and we validated we ran Facebook ads, just saying, I don't remember the question, but things like, you know, do you need landing? I can't remember how it was phrased, but it was very clear. Every marketer we talked to that, yep, I have that pain. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. So you're from Scotland, and you moved here to Canada and set up shop in Vancouver. What makes Vancouver a good spot for a tech startup, or, you know, any business to start up? I mean, because it's become really popular, but why is that?
I don't know. It's very different. It's funny, when we started, I'd get emails and things on LinkedIn all the time saying, hey, love what you guys are doing. You want to grab a beer at blah, blah, blah.
In Palo Alto.
Yeah. Yeah. Someplace in San Francisco or something. I'm like, we're not there. Yeah. Like, look a little bit further down on my profile and you see we're in Canada. Yeah. And it's very different there. I think Canada, I don't know if it's different across, it probably is. But from an investment perspective, from raising money, I think it's a little more conservative. Like down the valley, you got VCs just throwing money at people because they want a unicorn, right? So they're just going to throw as much money, spend it really fast, do all that kind of stuff, hoping that one in their portfolio will blow up. We were a little more cautious than that. We only raised what we needed. We raised less than $1 million because we've always known we would raise more if we had an idea of what we do with it, or we can't succeed without it, then we're going down that path. But We didn't need it. We grew it more organically, and so I think that's a bit of a difference in mindset. And Vancouver, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I originally came here because I was leaving Scotland to escape a broken heart after university, and I was like, okay, Vancouver's got the coolest name and it's the furthest away.
That's a good reason.
That's what brought me here.
Was there any truth to the fact that you took a really good picture somewhere in the United States and that was kind of a way to sort of come to Vancouver too? Yeah.
Photo at that point,
okay.
But it was. So I was in Lake Louise for 5 months, then Vancouver for 7.
Yeah.
Bought a camper van and drove around the western United States, all the national parks. Bumped into a grizzly bear in Glacier National Park. Well, I'm not bumped into. It was like 30 feet away at the closest, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. I want to be a wildlife photographer.
Yeah.
So that's what brought. After I went home from my year traveling, I was like, okay, I got to move to Canada. Yeah. So that's a big reason why I came back over.
Do you still take wildlife photography and landscapes? Is that a big part of your
life?
It's
my biggest passion, but I don't get to do it very often.
Yeah.
When we started the company, I hung up my camera for 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I don't shoot locally, even though it's stunning here. I like to go somewhere else on a road trip, miles away or something. And I couldn't afford to do that, when we were a startup. So then finally, like after 5 years, I did a solo trip in the Southwest, the desert in the US, 30 days in the desert, just by myself, just hiking, shooting, camping, just everything. It was mind-blowing. Ended up in the emergency room twice.
It wasn't the bison, was it? So my favorite picture I've seen on your website is the bison. It seems like it's charging at you. Maybe we'll put it up on the screen right now, but can you tell me what the situation was there and if that's how you ended up in the emergency room?
No, that was actually in Yellowstone, which is probably my favorite place on Earth. It was like sunrise one morning, and there was bison everywhere, but this one was a female, and it was rolling in the dust, like exfoliating or just scratching, whatever. I don't know why it was doing it, but it's like the power is insane, it's just, and I was, 50 feet away. I was hiding behind the door of my car.
Okay.
So I had a little bit of safety.
Yeah.
That's my favorite photo. It's interestingly though, when I came back to photography, I'd lost that entire shoot. Every photo from it, I lost them.
Wow.
And for years, I thought I'd lost them. The only saving grace was that there was one printed copy of it on my parents' wall. So I was like, I'm okay with it.
Because at least it's there. Yeah.
But then I found it. It was on this old drive, buried so deeply. It took me so long to find it. And I couldn't believe it when I found them. I have a bit of a history with bison. I've almost been gored 3 times. Usually not my own fault. Well,
it's always the bison's fault anyway. If you get the picture.
Other people's fault.
Yeah.
Like the first time, these 2 bison were fighting. It was the rut. The males are fighting, and unlike, in a school playground when there's a fight, everyone crowds around, right? Not the same. When this happens, all the youngsters and the women, all the females, they all run for their lives. And I've been sitting down waiting for this moment, and there was this RV had come up behind me. Stupid tourist. Rolled down their window and said, "What are you looking at?" And this way was half a mile of nothing. Same that direction, there's a river behind me, and then there's a giant herd of bison in front. I'm like, what are you
what do you think?
So it was kind of, when you have a big lens, everybody stops, right? Yeah. So often you have to kind of hide it. Mm-hmm. So this moment happens, and I kind of lean back, take 3 shots, and this swarm, of bison are running right at me. Yeah. So I get up, turn and sprint, and those annoying tourists were the only reason I didn't get trampled, because I turned around and there was a wall of cars behind me. So I just ran through them, and then they swerved away because they had nowhere to go. But the second and third time were kind of the same as each other. I was sitting, photographing them, and I was on this little trail, and I knew the men disappear at a certain time of the year. So I was just watching the youngsters and the females, and then I hear this, and I turn, and it's a massive bull bison, 15 feet away. Yeah. This trail was a wildlife trail, wildlife corridor,
of course.
And it was just right there. So I get up and I sprint, I turn around, there's where I have my car parked behind me, there's like 10 tourists there with their phones out. waiting for it to get me.
Oh no.
Nobody warning me.
Yeah, they're trying to go viral, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, this is gonna be awesome. I'm like, come on.
Sometimes. Okay, so 2 questions to end. Because it seems like you're thinking about what's next and how to take the next step. One is, so where do you think the next big marketing trend is? It's such a tough question, and I don't know if you can answer it. But 2, with relation to photography, why is it important to you to do that, and how much does that creative outlet power what you're thinking about on that other side?
Yeah, trend-wise, that's so hard. I'm just trying to create a more nuanced approach to optimization and to content, and hopefully I can make some change by doing that. But the photography thing or anything like that, it's huge for me. Like, I live on a whiteboard or sketching. That's kind of where I do all my thinking. But when I need to actually come up with something new, usually it's when I'm driving. So if I'm doing photography, I'm always driving somewhere. That's where I get tons of my ideas. I usually come up with the intros to my talks in the shower.
It's the best place to think.
Sometimes the day off.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of my ideas come, almost every weekend I'll jump in the car and I'll drive to North Vancouver. I used to live over there, and I just that exercise of going somewhere in the car where you can't do anything apart from think. That's usually where, so for me that's kind of where a lot of my creativity begins.
So no podcasts, just thinking?
We listen to podcasts when Nicole's in the car.
Okay.
I just listen to music typically.
Okay.
And sing horrendously and rock out.
Yeah. Good. All right, well, thanks for spending some time with us.
My pleasure.